Welcome to the JM Exchange podcast. Just have normal conversations with people from Cleburne, Johnson County area that are doing cool things and helping people out. I just wanted to say thank you to a few people that have helped me bring this together and make this happen. Number one, I want to thank God. I can't do this without him. I also want to thank my wife. She's given me great support and stayed behind me through this whole thing. And also family and friends that have given me support too. Want to give a thank you to Blake Jones Agency for allowing me to set up my studio. I want to thank Carson Luce for graphic design. I want to thank Jerry Lair with bjjloan.com. Reach out to him for any of your residential loan needs. John Bendes, and also the guests that come on and share their stories. Hope you enjoy the conversation. Thanks, y'all.
All right, we're rolling. Mark Wickey.
Awesome.
Good to have you on, man.
Good to be on.
Well, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody where you're born and raised and how you grew up and how you got to Cleburne.
I was born in, I'm the youngest of a family of 12 from Wheatland, Missouri. That's where I was born and raised. And we lived there. Let me see. When I was born, there was like 10 or 11 of us at home because my oldest sister had already gotten married. She actually got married and had a kid. So
Big family,
yeah. Born, raised there till I was 13. Then we moved to Salem. So we were Amish. I don't know if that
okay, cool, man.
makes a difference. It was not anymore. I still have several family members that are, but most of my family completely left. So Amish, and then we moved to a different place in Missouri. It's just it was just like car Amish, so kind of we worked our way out of the whole system.
Mm-hmm.
So we went from Amish to, they call themselves Amish Mennonite, but it was kind of like Amish with cars kind of a thing. And then when I was 18, we moved to Alabama, and that wasn't really, that would still have been Anabaptist, but it wasn't Amish or Mennonite necessarily. It was a lot further on the edge, but it was still a lot the same kind of stuff. And I don't remember how long I would have lived there, but in 2019 I went to Africa. Well, back up a little bit. In 2016 I went to Africa for 3 months, Ghana, and just went up. There's like a training school in northern Ghana, and we what they would do is they would take you. So this was a missionary school, but what they would do is they would take you out to, well, they did a lot of stuff. So we had on campus a lot of curriculum and stuff that we did, and then they would take you out to a village where they say that no foreigner has ever been. Now, I don't know. Obviously, I don't know that we have proof of that, but they think so.
Right.
And they would just drop you off, and we just walked along a dirt path to a village and found the chief and got on our knee. Well, in some cases you would get on your knees, in some cases you would get on your. It's weird. Sometimes you have to lay on your left side, and they have a bunch of. It's just you're all alone in a completely different culture.
Yeah,
is the idea. But they were very friendly, and the chief wasn't there. His brother was there to represent him. And he put us with his other brothers, and he put us up in his other brother's house. Long story, a lot of stuff happened there. I came back, and then I went back to Tanzania in 2019 for 2 years, and I taught English over there. So it was Tanzania, but it's actually Zanzibar, so it's a island off the coast of Tanzania. And so yeah, I grew up, we were always conservative, Christian, obviously Amish, but my parents weren't your normal Amish. So Dad was the bishop. He was the big wig, but he got in trouble and he got kicked out eventually, and a lot of drama and stuff. And then when I came back from Africa to Alabama again, this was in 2021. When I was in Alabama, I was like, when I was in Africa, I was like, well, when I get to Alabama, I don't know how that'll go. I was kind of thinking about Texas
Mm-hmm.
because I always just loved Texas since I was a kid. It just seemed like, I don't know. I just always wanted to live there.
That's a
And
great
so,
state.
yeah, it's a great state. It's the center of the universe, what I like to say. So when I got back, I stayed there in Alabama for several months. I moved out here. I came out here and just kind of scout things out. And I got a job and a place to live, so I went back and I moved out and I started hauling sheds south of here, like the wide loads.
Mhm.
Did that for a year and a half, I think. And I lived in Grandview at that point. Well, the address was Grandview, but it was just south of Cleburne. So I did everything in Cleburne, but I lived south of Cleburne. And then I met my wife, and I always knew that when I settled down, it was going to be here. It wasn't going to be in Hill County because I just loved Cleburne. Although at that point I lived just north of Hill County. Moved into down to Covington, lived there several months.
Yeah, that's where I was graduated from.
Covington,
Yeah,
the
Covington,
Covington
Texas.
Owls. Yeah, good stuff. Lived there, moved back up here, got married, and that's pretty much my story. And then I think it's super important for people to be involved in their local politics because that's what actually affects their lives. Now, I think people should be involved in all national politics as well. But the local politics will affect you more, generally speaking, than
Yeah, I believe that.
the national politics. But so that's pretty much where I came from and who I was, who I am. I ran for city council because I wanted to serve. I wanted to be involved in the local things that are happening here because a lot of people, if you look at the numbers from the last election, the amount of people that vote is just abysmal.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. I was pretty disappointed in that myself.
But pretty much it.
So, so you just kind of started implementing yourself? Did you start going to council meetings on your own and kind of meeting everybody before you stepped into that place, or was it just, hey, you heard it was opening and just dove right in?
So it's funny because so Blake and I went to the same church for a little bit. I don't know how long. I saw him a time or two, but didn't really see him because I worked at the tech booth. But I knew that I wanted to serve somewhere locally, and I wasn't immediately going to, but I went to one of Blake Jones's meet and greets, and I was just gonna see if, because I knew him, I liked him, and I was gonna see if I could help him. And then, meantime, excuse me.
No, you're good.
No one was running for my seat, and I was like, well, I don't want a crazy person to just get it because no one runs. And I just kind of waited, and because I originally wasn't going to run right now for city council. I was going to wait for 4 more years or something, 2 more years maybe. But no one else was running, and so I just filed and thought, well, I can always not run if another decent person
somebody
wants
stands
to.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, stands up. And nobody did, and I just ran unopposed. But I enjoy it. It's a good thing.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So, what was it like? What was it like growing up in that kind of Amish, lifestyle?
So it had its good points and it had its kind of negative points. I mean, but you're really hardworking. So a lot of people, when they think about the Amish, they think about they think about, because there's a certain sect of the Amish that do the Rumspringa and stuff, but they're actually kind of a minority of Amish. So we never did that. But they're the Amish that get all these TV shows like Amish Mafia, and they get all these books written about them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But most of the Amish aren't actually like that. They would never let you make a TV show about them, most of them. Like the Amish I was part of, which was just called the Old Order Amish, so we couldn't have electricity. We couldn't even have bikes there for a while. But towards the end, we got bikes, and we got to where we could have tractors, and so we got some of the modern conveniences toward the end before we moved to Salem. But you grew up really hardworking. I mean, so we had, oh man, I don't know. We had several acres of garden, another several acres of fruit trees. We had everything that you can imagine on a farm because, I mean, Dad had 12 kids. He had to have something for him to do.
Yeah.
And so it's really kind of the growing up experience I had was very healthy, very good. I feel like the whole Amish part of it wasn't so much, but just on a family level, it was really good.
Yeah, you kind of get out what you put in, sort
Right.
of thing. Yeah.
Yep.
I like that. So, man, so you couldn't even have bikes and stuff at first. Wow. So what made it to where they changed to be able like to have bikes and then slowly come into tractors and stuff like that? Like, what was the decisions behind that? Do you know, or was it just, were you young?
I kind of know. So they would have, basically the way it would work is they would have a brothers meeting. So our church was basically at one point, and this is probably way too much information for most people. I hope I don't bore anybody, but you may have some people who are really interested in this in your audience somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
There was 3 Amish churches. My dad was the bishop of all 3 of them, but our church had been new enough that they have this thing they call an atno, which says what you can and can't do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we just copy and pasted basically the atno from another church, which a lot of the people in our church, which when I say church, these churches were maybe 25 miles apart, maybe 30 or something. Like you had to hire a driver to go there. I mean, Dad didn't. He would hitchhike. He'd just take off walking, even if it was 40 miles.
Oh, wow.
And he'd get there usually in a day. But so we would go by horse and buggy if it was like up to 20 miles. I do remember my brother got a girlfriend at that other church. But before I go down that bunny trail, there was our church copy and pasted the atno, which was the rule book, from another church, and a lot of the people in our church didn't like it, and so they were starting to set about to make their own kind of.
Okay.
So they would have what they called brothers meetings, and you couldn't go unless you were. So it's kind of unique because they'd have a brothers meeting where just the men went, and then they would have a members meeting where all the members went. So if you were, I'm not perfectly clear on where the cutoff is, but if you were a married man, you went to the brothers meeting. If you were a member of the church but younger, you might not. Like if you joined the church at 17 and you were a teenager, you probably wouldn't go to the brothers meeting, but you would go to the members meeting. So they had a series of both, I remember, because I was never a member at the Amish church. I was a member at the Car Amish, the Amish Mennonite situation, which is not that much different, just a different rule book, basically.
Gotcha.
That's what it amounts to. And they started making their own rules, and they had a bunch of meetings, and they decided in those meetings that they're going to have this and this. And it just kind of got a ball rolling to where it didn't stop. And before we knew, we left that church, or before this ball stopped, before all these changes stopped, we had left, and everyone else had left as well. Like the church just went to nothing, basically.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of them moved to other Amish churches. Some of them moved to more liberal churches. By liberal, in the context of the Anabaptists, like the Amish and the Mennonites, liberal doesn't mean what liberal means to most people. It means you can have more things. So when they say liberal, they mean you can have a car. That's super liberal.
Yeah.
Right? If you can have a bike, you're more liberal. So it's a better way to say it might be more, I don't know, traditional and non-traditional.
Okay. Yeah. That's a good way to say it.
But they use the liberal and conservative.
Oh, really? Okay, I got you.
That's what they use. That's the wording they use for that.
So did y'all build y'all's churches and stuff like that, like yourselves, or was it kind of already there?
So we the Amish generally, I don't think, have church houses because that is too liberal. It's too worldly, they would say.
Okay.
And they have this thing where they say ho, which means, in a direct translation, it would mean high, but what they mean is worldly, liberal, right? So a church that has their own church house is automatically more liberal. Like most of the Amish won't. A lot of the Mennonites will, most of the Amish won't. So what we would do is we would have church at our house for, pretty sure it was like 4 weeks, like a month. And then it would go to someone else's house and it would be there for like a month, 4 weeks, and then to somebody else's. And so oftentimes, whenever you were supposed to host church, all the ladies from the church would come to your house and clean it and get it ready, you know. And then we had this big old wagon pulled by horses that we called what did we call it? We had a name for it, but it was basically just a big wagon with a bunch of hardwood benches in it with no backs. And we would haul it around to whoever was having church, and we'd set it up, and that's where we'd have church, because obviously they don't have any electricity or anything, so the preacher would just stand up there and preach, and we'd all sit there on our wood benches, and that's how it was.
All right, real old school, man.
Real old school.
Yeah, I don't really know much about the Amish, so I'm asking these questions because I'm pretty interested. So you said you moved from Missouri and then went to Salem.
Yes.
So what was it like there? Were y'all still practicing the Amish stuff, or was it more Mennonite at that point? Or
it was more Mennonite. So Salem was a lot like a church right around here, the old Grandview Mennonite Church, where the ladies, like if someone who wasn't used to the Amish would look at the ladies, there wouldn't be that much difference, right? If now the men, there's a little more, except the men, not really, because when we moved there, you still couldn't buy any. You could buy your shirts, but that was it. You still had to have the old homemade pants with suspenders and all that stuff. So the men didn't really look that different. The haircut got a little more worldly, as they would say. Like they started trimming up the sides because you had to pretty much have a bowl cut at the old place, right? So there's some stuff like that, but if you're not used to it, you couldn't tell much of a difference. Besides, we had electricity, we had a church house, we had cars. So I guess we were really getting up there. We had cameras too, because most Amish can't have cameras. It varies a lot. There's a lot of variation within the Amish, but a lot of Amish will have cameras and smartphones, even though they're not supposed to. We couldn't have smartphones. At Salem, we couldn't have smartphones either, but we could have cameras, and that was an absolute no-no in the Amish. No music either, by the way, in the Amish.
Oh man! So y'all didn't even sing your own songs or anything like that?
Yeah, but it was what we called Lovi. So if you heard it, you would think, what kind of alien stuff is this? It was all monotone, like a whole bunch of people. It was monotone wailing, basically, in the Amish.
Okay.
But then we started actually singing like a 4-part harmony at Salem. That's another thing that they did that we couldn't do. You couldn't do that. Basically, if it sounded nice, you couldn't have it when you were Amish. But at Salem, we could, and we did quite a bit of that. They did quite a bit of singing, but you couldn't have like music. So no musical instruments, no guitars, nothing. And the music you wanted to listen to, you had to submit to the preachers, and they would, like, once a year they had a time where you could submit, so you could bring a CD and say, hey, I want to listen to this, can we get this approved? Then if they would approve it, it sounds so stupid to say all this because it's
no, man, it's really interesting, actually.
Yeah, but it's no way to live your life, is what I'm saying. And then if the preachers would approve that specific CD, or they might remove a song or two, I don't know. But if they approve that music group or that CD, you could then listen to it. Was kind of how it worked. So,
right on, man. So, after that, you said you went to Alabama. Were y'all continuing to live like in that Mennonite kind of rule set?
Yeah, but now we open a whole other one, which is, so I'm a Christian, like a Bible believing Christian. The Amish, you don't have to be. They're not necessarily Christian. There are, I say that carefully because there are Amish who are Christian.
Mm-hmm.
but they're more Amish, right? And you don't have to be a Christian to be a good Amishman. In fact, not at all.
That's different than like all the movies and stuff that you see.
Yeah, I know. It's wild. But when you get, it varies too when you get, so there was a revival in the Amish and it broke off to all the people that left the Amish and the Mennonites started this movement. There was actually a guy in Pennsylvania that started it. His name was Denny Keniston. Charity. So is it like the Amish and Mennonite? Yes, basically. But once again, it just became a new brand of the Amish and Mennonite. Because you have, in the Anabaptist, you have Amish, you have Mennonite, you have Amish, and you have everything in between there. Then you've got these people that call themselves Holderman that are still pretty much part of it. But they call themselves Holderman Mennonite or something like that. I have an uncle that's a Holderman Mennonite. You have all these different stripes. Well, Charity made a new one, but it was more based on like the Bible. That was kind of their thing. They started, but eventually it came back around just to be another Mennonite church. But at one point it was, and there are still some that are. I'm a little careful what I say there because I'm overgeneralizing some of these things. But so we went to a charity church, basically.
Okay, I got you. So, what took you to Africa? You said you went to Africa for like 3 months. What took you there?
I was a missionary for the first, from 2016 to 2021, I would say. I was pretty much a full-time. So if I wasn't somewhere doing mission work, I was here getting ready, you know. The Amish don't go through high school. And the Mennonites don't either, which, with the way the schools, that's both a negative and a positive, I think. I mean, they're hard enough working that most of them don't need it. They'll work like dogs, and they're just fine generally. They generally wouldn't have, sorry, I'm getting off track and not answering your specific question, but they generally wouldn't have use for it if they did go. Like if you sent an Amishman to high school, he probably wouldn't really use that anyway because he just is going to go to work or go plow his field.
Yeah, doing things like that, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, what was your question?
What took you to Africa?
What took me to Africa? So I was a missionary. So I went over there with, in Africa, I would say I was both a Islamic polemist and a Christian apologist. And so I would read their books and man, there's a bunch of, I don't know if we want to go down that rabbit hole, but
we don't have to if you don't want to. Yet.
No, I mean the whole Islamic rabbit hole. But I tried reading the Quran. I read the first 7 surahs, and I just couldn't keep on. It didn't make sense. The parts of it that made sense were terrible, and most of it just didn't make sense. It was just a bunch of kind of stuff slapped together. But so I didn't get through it. I told myself while I was over there I was going to read the whole thing, but I didn't get through it. But so we did a bunch of historical stuff on the Middle East, North Africa. In fact, we had some friends of mine from Qatar who were Christian polemists, right? So are you familiar? I don't know how familiar you are with that world, but a polemist is someone who is attacking. So a Christian polemist will attack the Christian faith, right? And a Christian apologist will defend the Christian faith. Well, they came and we would sit there because they just wanted to talk, and we would discuss this and we would debate this and we would argue this, the whole Christian Islam thing. And it got pretty nasty because we couldn't start the conversation. It was law over there. It was 98% Muslim country, so you couldn't talk about your faith unless they brought it up,
okay.
Right? But they knew that we were Christian, so they naturally brought it up. They would come just to talk about that, and they would come down from Qatar, and we would go to the gym together and stuff like that. And we'd sit and discuss this, and we would argue. You could say debate. It was more not so much of an argument, more of a debate, and it was a lot of fun. There were days where you would just sit and go through. There was like 3 months straight, every day, all day. I was just going through the history of Islam, how it started, and all that, and writing stuff down and typing it all out. It was wild, but it was kind of a good time.
Wow, man, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So after that, you came over here to good old Texas.
Yep.
How was that different from? Were you part of the Mennonites and stuff like that still when you moved here?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
because I knew like in that Grandview area, there's a group out there. I've stopped at their little shop and stuff like that and had some sandwiches and stuff. And
yeah, so there's two, well, there may be more, but there's two that I know of in this area. And one of them are considered, or in Grandview, their address is Grandview, so they would be considered the Grandview Church. One of them is in Osceola down there. That's the one I went to.
okay.
I came back from Africa to Alabama, moved straight out here like several months later, and I went to that church because I moved in when did I move? February 12, 2022, and I moved to that church and started attending there regularly, and I only attended till end of July, 1st of August.
Okay.
And then I was kind of done with everything, and I just...
Doing your own thing after that.
Yeah, I was just done with the whole... I was done with the religious part of the Anabaptist culture, put it that way.
Gotcha. So, I got a weird question. When was your like first time to have like a smartphone or get on a computer and stuff like that? About how old were you?
So that was in Alabama. I would have been 18, I think.
So you're already an adult by the time
Yeah.
you saw that. That's actually probably pretty good.
Yeah, it can damage kids if they're too young and have too much of it. But I think it was healthy for us not to.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know that I would want to live in a culture that said you can't do that, and if you do, we're going to kick you out. But I think it was a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, because so growing up in Covington, I didn't even know the internet existed until I was like maybe like a freshman in high school. And I remember people were like, hey, we got the internet in the computer room. And I was like, what's that? I don't even know what it is. They're like, well, you can just, you could do all sorts of stuff. You could look anything up, and I'm sitting here looking at this thing, and it's just a browser, like Yahoo browser. And I was like, you just look stuff up. And I mean, the first thing I looked up was Nirvana lyrics because I couldn't figure out what he said in some of his damn songs. They're one of my favorite bands. And that was the first thing I looked up. And we didn't get internet out to our house until I think I was a junior in high school
wow.
at that point, and it was dial up and it was slow. And so if you wanted to look at something, it took forever for it to load. And then, you got your parents going, I got to make a phone call. You got to get on the
I didn't experience any of that because we didn't have it. But I do remember, and I don't remember when this was, when the first smartphones started coming around, because my older brother left the Amish before I did, or before a lot of us did.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a smartphone, like first when they came out.
Oh, wow.
But it was nothing like it is now. Like it was the old, man, it was pretty much a potato compared to what we got now. But
Yeah.
it could do internet.
Yeah, I didn't get a smartphone. I was in my early 20s. I was probably like 21, 22, somewhere in there. I had a flip phone.
Oh, wow.
Or I may have been older than that. It might have been 23 or 24. Yeah, I was late to the game on that. I had the Razor flip phone. You can get on the internet, but you couldn't do a lot with it.
Mm-hmm.
It was wild. I remember when I got my first iPhone, it was like, whoa.
Yeah.
It is like a mini computer,
Like I use iPhone now. We didn't back in the beginning. The first one I remember actually coming into contact with, and this was long before I had one, was the Galaxy S3. Now we got the, S20 something?
I don't even know. I've always had Apple,
And man, that was crazy. It was after church, and we weren't supposed to have it, but one of the young guys did back in Missouri, and that was crazy stuff. It was really cool.
So when you decided to kind of rid yourself of all that? Is that when you met your wife? Was after that, or did you meet her during that whole process?
It was technically after, because I started going to a church over here on the east side, and I was playing music with her cousins.
Okay, what do you play, man?
Nothing super fluently. I mean, we just got together and played around a little bit, but I love the banjo. But I'm not great at it, but I can play, I don't know, 10 songs or something.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
But for them, I was doing bass. And so we had several guys, one on the guitar, one on the electric guitar, and the drums and the bass, and we would get together and play. And we actually did, when we had church over in Godley, we would do worship for them. And so we started getting soundboards and upgrading everything and stuff. And so I would have met my wife after I decided to get rid of the whole Anabaptist thing. And I went to the Heights over on the east side. We met there and at her uncle's house, I would say.
Okay.
Yep.
But how long ago was that?
That was in 2023.
Okay. So you are pretty newly married.
Yeah, we got married in 2025.
Oh, right on, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Y'all plan on having kids and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep, sure do.
So, what do you do now? What do you do for work and stuff like that?
I run a company called Benchmark Decks, and we build decks. We manufacture quite a few. Like right now, we're manufacturing a bunch of RV decks, composite RV decks. And so they're portable. You can take them and you can set them where your RV is. And they're kind of made to be moved the same way they move sheds, although these are small enough that you can, there's several ways you could move them. But you pop them up against your RV, and it's just a nice deck.
Oh, that's cool.
To go out, because more and more people are living in their RVs.
Yeah. That's true.
And so if you have a big RV like that, it's great for access. It's a lot nicer than, say, the steps that fold
the
out.
Stairs, yeah.
Yeah. Makes it feel like home more. You can kick your shoes off. You can put a grill on it if you want to. Stuff like that.
That's cool.
Other than that, we'll build any deck. What we do a lot of is mobile homes, because a lot of mobile homes we'll do decks on rent to own,
mm-hmm.
or financing or cash, whatever you prefer, but they're portable. So a lot of people get a new mobile home and they don't want the deck attached to it because it voids warranty. Our portable decks just slide up against it, and you wouldn't really know it. It looks like it's made to be there.
Mm-hmm.
They look good, but they're not attached to it. The only place that the warranty will often let you attach them is the flashing. So we might have 4 screws in the flashing, and that's the only way that it's attached.
Yeah. So what got you into all that, man? How'd you get into building decks?
So I've built my whole life. Some of my earliest memories actually are summer vacation. I remember I was in preschool. I was in preschool, and Dad always was a carpenter. He always worked for himself. We built a lot of log homes at one point, but he never advertised or anything. It was just word of mouth, but he stayed busy. Like, he was out months pretty much all the time. And so it was during summer vacation, like when we weren't going to school, we were helping him build full time between the gardens and stuff. But us boys would go help him, because I have 3 brothers just older than me,
mm-hmm.
and so it was the 4 of us generally. But that day, some of the earliest memories I have, everyone else was sick. I don't remember with what, but I felt super good because I was like 6 years old or something, and I got to go with him, and we went and we remodeled an old barn that day. But that's all I've ever done is build stuff.
That's cool, man. I bet you built some solid decks.
we do. Believe me.
So you came here and you got married. So on council, what are the things that you want to do for the city of Cleburne, and what are your ideas that you have?
First of all, I think that Cleburne needs to stay Cleburne. I don't, because it's a great place and it's going to grow, but we still want to be Cleburne after we're bigger and better. Still, it should still be Cleburne. I didn't run because of, I said, well, there's always plenty of things to improve, right?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't specifically run because I said, well, Cleburne is crap in this way. I never thought like that. I was just like, well, Cleburne's going to grow, and we need to have responsible growth. And if I can do anything, because a lot of people don't like government. They're like, man, these people from the city are just a pain. They just have bad experiences. And I thought, well, I want to be a good experience for people to show them that there's people in government that actually want to help them and want to just be a good experience for people in government, number one. Number two, I think that we need to grow responsibly, but we're gonna grow, and so we need to be proactive about that, because everybody wants to be here. Or I say everybody, a lot of people. Like if you see the housing that's going in and the amount of people that are moving here, it may partially be because of our proximity to Dallas and Fort Worth, but I once again went on a rabbit trail and forgot your original question.
Just the ideas that you had, being on council and for Cleburne and stuff like that. So you were talking about, managing or having a responsible growth. I agree with that too. We need to think about things because we have infrastructure that needs help here and things like that. So, and I'm no economist myself. It's just things that I get in and try to research and looking at different things and going, well, that probably wasn't the greatest idea. Maybe we should have done something different there. But everything's hindsight when it comes to that. For me with Cleburne, it's kind of, you go on vacation, you say you're going to go somewhere and you're going to take a drive and you drive through all these towns to get to your destination, and every town, it's kind of the same. You got just the same restaurants, the same shops, the same this, the same that, instead of having like actual local places,
Right.
And when I travel, man, I'm probably drives my wife and kid crazy, because I'm like, no, we're not stopping at McDonald's,
Right.
and getting a cheeseburger. We're going to go find a place that's local and sit down and eat and enjoy it, enjoy something different.
Exactly.
Because I'm very adventurous like that. I just,
That's awesome.
I want to see, what they have to offer and how their food tastes and things like that. And just, be able to kind of feel.
You get into the local culture.
And that's, so I don't necessarily want that for Cleburne, where it's just all the same chain
just
restaurants.
a bunch of chains.
And all this. Like, I like the fact that there is, people that are starting up and building their own. We got some unique places here in town, and I like seeing that kind of stuff. You know? So that's my thought process on it. I didn't know if yours was kind of the same, or if you had different ideas.
No, I think we need to make it easier for those, because I think that it tends to be hard for those local chains, local restaurants to thrive, because they have to meet and they should have standards, but they have to meet the standards of the chains, and they don't have
the money.
They don't have the money to throw around like that, and so that really hurts some of them. It's not just like that with the restaurants, but it's that way with the builders as well. Like if there's someone who wants to build a restaurant or something, like just anything, just a building in the city, some of the stuff, the requirements that they have to meet are a little excessive, I feel like sometimes, because they don't have $2 million to dump into a sprinkler system or whatever.
Yeah. I know that there's
get to meet the
listening.
standard.
Yeah, listening to Blake's redoing that building downtown. So listening to some of the things they're having to go through, it's a lot of stuff.
It is
a lot of permits, a lot of money.
Yep.
that has to go into doing something like that. And it's kind of a shame. And I don't know how to fix it. I don't have the answers. And I'm over here I'm just an idiot that's talking. But I do think that if we could make it simpler for those types of people to, that want to,
Right.
entrepreneurship and bring something that's different and wholesome.
Yeah, a lot of time there are no easy answers for that, because you're looking out for the city as a whole.
Yeah, we're still looking out for the people at that point too.
Right. As a whole, and that's really going to screw over this one guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's ugly, and it's unfortunate, and there's not a good way to always, there's just, it's not always nice.
Yeah.
But it's just the way it is. It's kind of life. Like, yeah, it is what it is. You have to be willing to make hard decisions that will make people not like you. But you're making that decision based off of something that they don't know, but that you can't tell them.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of, it is what it is.
Yeah. It is kind of weird that how that kind of comes about, where you just can't be transparent.
You can't. Yeah, legally you can't be transparent.
That's so weird.
and that's probably one of the hardest things in leadership, is when you have to make a decision that's the right decision based off of things that you can't tell anyone, but it makes them hate you.
Mm-hmm.
And so you just have to sit there and take their hate, and hopefully in the future everything will come out and everyone will understand. But I haven't really run into that here. I was just thinking about the things that are required of businesses to meet code. A lot of businesses can't do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you have a new business, they can't drop $500,000 on a completely redoing their 2-acre lot into a parking area.
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever it is. It's just one of those situations. But I love the city. It really is. It's just different. It's its own unique thing. And when I first came to Texas, I came through here, settled south of here, but I had everything here. And I knew that if I ever bought, it was going to be in Cleburne. That's where I was going to settle down. It's a great city. We don't know how good we have it here, I think, sometimes.
Yeah. I agree with that. I pretty much lived in the area my entire life. So I lived in Cleburne about half my schooling. After 6th grade, left and went to Covington and graduated from there. But, every time we had to go get groceries or anything, it was either Hillsborough or Cleburne.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like I was disconnected really from the town all that much. I mean, if you wanted to do something fun, you had to come to Cleburne. If you wanted to go bowling or something like that,
Yep.
So now that you're in there, how many meetings have you been an official councilman now?
I think it was 3. But
3?
I would have to ask my wife to be sure. But I'm pretty sure it was 3.
Gotcha. So now that you're in there, did it kind of open your eyes a little bit on all the things that, that are going on? Did you learn anything new? Was it eye-opening?
Yeah, well, I learned a lot of new things. It was eye-opening. It's just, we have a lot of good people in there, and we're doing some good things. Some big things are happening right now. But yeah, it was eye-opening. And man, I still haven't read everything I'm supposed to read. Like, there's a lot to learn still.
Mm-hmm.
But very eye-opening. Our parks, I love the parks team. They're great, and they're doing some good work. So if you like parks, Cleburne is soon going to be the best around here.
That's awesome.
I think it is now. I think we're just going to some really good places with our parks, which excites me because I love parks.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But
so I'm trying to think here. So with being on council, how is it? Kind of drawing a blank now at what I had to ask, and I'm trying to ring it back in. This happens a lot now since I've turned 40. But yeah, so like getting in there, and y'all, I know y'all have parks to deal with, y'all have this to deal with. I know we have a new mayor. Congratulations to Derek Weathers for stepping in and winning the election there as mayor. I think he's a great person.
Yeah.
And hope he leads us, in a good way and stuff like that. I know one thing that if I had to complain, which we talked about earlier, was the voter turnouts.
Yeah.
I know when the school bonds came out, we had like 3,500 people vote, which is close to 10%, I guess, of the city population. But I just know, like, for something as important as mayor, and it is an important position locally, but I think it's just as important for the councils and stuff like that too.
Right.
So when I ran for District 3 a couple years ago, there was only like 49 votes out of the whole district.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. And I did win that election, and unfortunately I had to turn it down. No fault of my own. I thought I did everything correctly, but ultimately somebody else had a say, and
gotcha.
I did not, my arguments did not work because of the way that the policies were written. Somebody could ultimately, whether it's, okay, or, it's perfectly fine with the law, it's fine like that, but that person got to make a decision. I don't know if they were the best informed about what council actually does and stuff like that, but I had to turn it down, and it was a shame. Luckily I didn't get too much like backlash online or anything like that. I messaged people what really happened, and I can't really talk about it on here, but, I would like to see better voter turnout, and I don't necessarily know how to get that. I mean, we can post on Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff all day long, and
people just have lives and they just don't care that much. But here's the thing about that. What people need to realize is that these races, like city council, directly affect their lives in a lot of ways, and they don't even think about it.
I know, and it's pretty crazy.
It is.
And I myself, I should show up to more council meetings and know a lot more about what's going on. I know I ask questions here and there, but yeah, I do need to pay attention more. And it's the more you start getting into it, the more you do realize that it is very important. And I do encourage more people to start paying attention and have a say in these things.
That's one of the things that I realized probably more than anything on city council is, man, these people are like, we have to make decisions for the city that affect the whole city. And you may not realize how much it affects you until you try to build a house or rezone some land or stuff like that. But it really does. And the thing also is that you can have a meet and greet, and you're lucky if 2 people show up.
Yeah.
So sometimes in there, we got to make a decision. I'm like, man, if I had a way of just immediately polling everyone in my district, that would be so awesome to see how they feel about this issue. But there's no way to do that. Most of them just don't care. And if you have a meeting, if you, because there's been some talk about like doing a meet and greet or what would you call it? Not exactly a conference for the city council people in their district, to do that like once or twice a year. And I would be all for that. I have this feeling that not very many people would show up.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
I wonder if we can maybe attach something to it. So I know when I did have Derek on here, we talked about it, and with Blake too. We used to have concerts at the farmers market that's off Main Street over there, and they would set up a stage, and there would be sponsors and all that kind of stuff, and they would get a couple bands out there and play. Maybe not big bands, big bands for Texas. There's we had like William Clark Green out there, and a lot of people might not know who he is, but he's pretty well known around these parts and stuff like that. And he was based out of West Texas, but that was a cool concert. I think if they did more stuff like that to kind of pull people together
Mm-hmm.
and had like, at least booths set up to where they'd
Mhm.
come up and ask you some questions and,
Absolutely.
and all that, maybe that would kind of draw people out there a little bit more. If every district had their own little booth where y'all kind of sat and got to, chit chat with the public and, maybe between sets or something like that, get up there and maybe, give us a small speech about who you are and how important it is for everybody there to, speak up and share their ideas, because,
Right.
the only way we get better ideas is talking about our ideas
Exactly.
openly and, having an open mindset with it and not being completely married to your idea, because you do have to talk about it and you can't be married to them. If you're
Right.
married to your idea, you're never going to get anywhere and you're never going to grow.
Right.
So maybe something like that could help things along.
Yeah, I think that would be good. I also think Blake had a great idea when he wants to put the city agenda on water bills, which I think is great because I think it would get it in front of people that you probably might not get it in front of any other way, because pretty much everyone gets those and they would at least have a chance to see it. But at the end of the day, you want good people in government. They're not going to be perfect, but if they have a moral compass and they're just good people, they are accountable to other people,
Mm-hmm.
then that's what you want. And if no one votes and no one runs and kind of no one cares, then the kind of people that you don't want will run and get in there.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be complaining probably for good reason.
Yeah.
But I used to tell, when I worked in an office down at Eagle Ridge, election day would come and I say, look, I got to leave and go vote. And I say, if you don't go vote, you don't get to complain. If you complain about anything, this was national elections. If you complain about everything but you didn't vote, I'm not going to listen to you.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. So you kind of do lose your right to complain if you don't
Yeah. If you don't vote.
do your civic duty right.
I agree with that. And, there's a lot of stigma now that says, oh, your vote doesn't matter,
Right.
and this or that.
It's
And
a great way to get you to lose.
yeah, that's true. And, there could be some truth to that. I don't know I'm not going to get down to that rabbit hole right now, but,
Right.
But I do think, especially in local elections and stuff like that, that it does make a difference.
Yeah, in Cleburne, your vote matters.
Yeah,
Nationally, your vote matters. If you think that your vote might not, you should still vote.
I agree too.
Because you're just going to lose if you don't.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't vote, your vote isn't going to matter.
Yeah, it doesn't.
sure.
It doesn't matter if you don't vote.
Right.
Period. Yeah, I mean, but it is kind of weird too that again, like you said, that people just kind of don't care. They're just kind of
Right.
going about their lives and stuff like that. This whole two-party system that we have is a joke, in my opinion. I think we need 4 or 5 parties probably, and the reason being is, again, for the idea sharing. But when you just have two candidates that are out there, one's from this party and one's from that party, and everybody, they pick their team and they're going to go for it, and that's never made sense to me, because I'm going to do some research and see, what they're actually about, what they want to do. Are they actually for the people? Are they for the corporations?
Right.
What are they for? And then try to make my decision that way, instead of sitting here thinking Republican or Democrat.
So I agree with you. I would have some questions about that, and I would have to think about and do some research before if you gave me the choice now, 2-party system or 3 or 4-party system, I would immediately say, hey, the more the better. I would tend to, but I would have to. I think that the way that the Republic was set up is kind of, it should be able to operate with 4 parties, but it just doesn't right now.
Yeah, I know.
And if we So I think I'm obviously conservative. I know the local elections are nonpartisan, and that's great because we have to be there to serve everyone. Doesn't matter who they are. But on a national level, like if I ran for a national office, I would run as a Republican.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean that Republicans are great? No, but they're way better than your other options. Although there are plenty of, shall we say, I don't know how flowery my language can get.
No, you can say whatever you want, man.
Scumbags.
Yeah.
There are plenty of traitors and scumbags and losers in the Republican Party.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying that, but that's where all the good people are. Or
Yeah.
the few that we have.
I think that there is a few on the other side too. Fetterman. He's a Democrat, but he's got that mindset of it needs to make sense.
Yeah, exactly. He's a Democrat, and when I say good people, I mean people who genuinely care about the country. So Fetterman does. You're right. I don't agree with him on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with a lot of Republicans on a lot of stuff too.
Exactly.
So.
But Fetterman is, man, I like national politics, so I don't know if this is what you had in mind for the podcast, but Fetterman is...
I never have an idea, man. It just goes where it goes.
It kind of goes where it goes. That's a good thing. It's interesting. He really cares about the country. So even though... See, here's kind of how it is for me. If I know that the person that's talking to me doesn't have an ulterior motive,
mm-hmm.
I might disagree with him, but he's not intentionally lying or trying to deceive me. I'm going to like him.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I'm not going to have an issue.
It would be really boring if... everybody that you knew just agreed with everything that you said all the time.
It'd be terrible. But Fetterman's like that. He's genuine.
Yeah.
And we would probably disagree with a lot, but man, I would love to have a cigar with him.
Right, me
and
too,
some
man.
whiskey. It'd be great. Because we could agree on a lot of stuff. We could agree on a lot of principles, and we'd probably both love America.
Oh, yeah.
And so yeah, I probably overgeneralized there. I can't say that word properly.
That's all right. I mispronounce all sorts of words. I just blame it on being from Texas. So
yeah,
and you kind of moved around all sorts of different places. So
I blame it on my Amish roots. English was my second language.
I like your accent though. It's very unique.
Thank you.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. Again, it's just talking about those ideas and maybe not people be so tribal when if it's more of a system, because then if you have more options and you kind of open people's mind a little bit, you might sit there and go, well, that guy does, he's not, on my team, but he's got some really good ideas. And, kind of the fact now we have a third party, so to speak, but do you ever see that third party on the ballot?
Not really.
You don't.
They might help sway general elections because they pull votes from one or the other, but they never.
Yeah.
It never really means anything. Let me ask you a question. How would you... So, I'm kind of opinionated,
mm-hmm.
but I don't care if you disagree with my opinions.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
But, again, if you ask me to, I will happily voice my opinions.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think that we have to be open, but there's also people that are just evil, and they stand for evil, and I don't see how it benefits us to have any kind of alliance with those people. But it's not the people like Fetterman. It's just the people who, man, there's a lot I could say here, but let me ask you this. How do you think that we could go about going from a two-party system to... Because wouldn't that start with changing people? Like at the end of the day, you'd have to have people join that movement.
Correct, you would. So I just think opening up and having more candidates and actually putting them on the ballot would help. I do think one thing that would solve a lot of problems and help open that up is term limits. I don't think that these people need to be spending 40 years, 50 years, 60 years in Congress.
Man, they die in there, some of them, pretty much.
And it's insane that these people are basically making decisions and you have no idea, because they're in the system and they're in this system this whole time. Mm-hmm. And they know how it works. and they're feeding themselves,
Right.
You know what I mean? And they're benefiting off of it. And I do think that somehow we need to take the money out of politics.
Yeah.
You know, I know locally here in town, it's all volunteer.
Right.
You can get people to donate to your campaign and stuff like that, but you know, it's all volunteer based.
Right. Yep.
So you're not actually getting a paycheck to do this. You actually have to dedicate your time to showing up.
Yeah, I think that makes for a really healthy environment too.
Yeah, I agree. And then, you know, but like I said, having these people that have been in there 30, 40, 50, 60 years, that's just insanity to me. You know, the president does 8 years. That's the maximum they can do. And then it's rotated.
Right.
So I think if the whole system was that way, you know, the Congress and the Senate, you know, all that,
Mm-hmm.
if it was on a rotational, you know, 8, maybe 12 years tops,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it could only help matters, I think, because there is a rotation, you know, of people and ideas that are coming through there. So you don't have these people that are just locked in and trying to set things up here and set things up there. Man, you can do a lot of stuff in, you know, 30 to 60 years if you're in that system. And, you know these people and you make friends and you do this and then you put this in, you know, this bill that helps you
Right.
out. And, you know, and the next time you vote for that bill that helps them out. Next thing you know, I mean, they're just sitting fat and
Right.
sassy, you know, just having everything that they've ever wanted. But I just think that if you turn that down and then new people got in and
Yeah.
it, you know, that would help things quite a bit. And I do think that if we did do that would help open up to more of a two-party system because there's constant rotation. And if it did come in to where now it's no longer what this is my side and I have to think this way with blinders on about all these ideas and this side doing the same thing, because like I said, there's some ideas that, you know, they may have over here where I'm like, okay. And then there's some ideas over here where I'm like, okay. And then there's some ideas over here where I'm like, no way.
Right.
You know, and then there's some ideas over here I'm like, no way.
Right.
And it's like, where's that common middle ground that we can kind of come up with where it's, you know, where the good ideas are talked about and
Exactly.
explained and all that.
So that's where you need people who know what's no way, but are still not closed-minded. Like they're open, they'll listen to anything, but they have the discernment to say, no, we're having nothing to do with that. And that they'll stand against evil, but they're not stuck up or like think that they're not. They will change their mind if they're actually hit with a good idea, right? There was something that you said earlier that I was going to go back to. Oh, the term limits.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I do think often the devil that you know is better than the devil that you don't. But at the end of the day, we have to almost have term limits on a lot of these things because you have people that are in there, like you said, 40 years.
Yeah.
Like Dianne Feinstein, who has to be rolled out in a wheelchair. I think I'm thinking of the right person. They are almost impossible to unseat. They aren't impossible. You can't unseat them, but it is really difficult.
Yeah.
Really difficult because they have name recognition. They have all the money is behind them. All that stuff, and a lot of people just don't care that much. If you put if they have a D or an R next to their name, they'll just vote for it.
Yeah.
And so it becomes a problem where you have people that are there for themselves and not to benefit
The people. Yeah.
the people.
Yeah, I think another good idea too. So, and it's just an idea, and again, my ideas can be wrong. You know, it happens all the time. But like, you know, we pay a salary and a lot of them say it's not big enough. They're like, we have to have an apartment in DC, then we have our own house and things like that. And I'm not saying that we should necessarily take the salaries away, because it is a full-time job when you're in those positions. I think if maybe we capped, you know, campaign contributions where it's like, this is all the money that you can receive. So you don't have somebody spending $1 billion on their campaign and then this person spending only, you know,
500,000
or something. And I'm not saying that if that person raises that much money, but there's still a cap, there's still a cap. and
Right.
that's all they can get. And then same thing with this person. They may not raise as much money. Maybe they don't have the ideas. Maybe they don't have it, but it's still kind of like that capitalist mentality there.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's a more fair battlefield, and so to speak, in that kind of sense. And then maybe, so much of our tax dollars goes to so much bullshit anyway.
Right.
How about, look, there's a building in DC. It's an apartment complex. It's fixed up. All of them are the same. Every unit, everybody gets a unit.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they get to hang their hat for when they're in DC. Now, their own home turf, that's their own home turf.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Then if they want to get a fancy, what do you call that? My Amish is showing here. The fancy apartment, like on the whole top floor of a...
Oh, like a penthouse.
Yeah, like a penthouse. If they want to get a penthouse, they can do that on their own dollars.
Correct.
Like if they have, because a lot of them might have a successful company or something. If they want to do that, they can do that, but they pay for it themselves, basically. And I think that's, so the way we do it in Cleburne is great. You don't get paid, right? It's a volunteer position. That means that you will have people who have other lives and are busy, but at the same time, they have real world experience. And if they know how business works, and they have a concept of how budgets work, and they know how cash flow works, you're automatically going to want that guy in there rather than someone who's not familiar with any of that.
Correct.
Like if they're dealing with the city budget and stuff. So I think that automatically takes care of a lot of you tend to have a lot fewer bureaucrats who are there to just suck off the public than you do if it's a paid position, especially if it pays a lot of money.
Yeah. No, I agree with that too. I don't know. I think there could be lots of things. And again, we're just two people down sitting about, talking about these ideas. But if you got more people in the room, I think that a lot of these problems could be fixed that is out there with our nation's government.
They could,
just to make things better.
Exactly. I think you have a lot of great ideas, actually. The apartment thing is a good one. Like if because that way they would have an apartment assigned to them. Everyone would have the same, like it wouldn't be out of this world crazy for the taxpayer, but at the same time. So because like you said, if you want people, just about anyone, to be able to run for national government, then it has to pay them something. Except here's the thing, now and I would have to look at just how this works, if someone has to sign off on it or if they can just raise their pensions themselves, the amount that they get paid in Congress and the Senate.
Yeah, they do vote on that themselves.
They do vote on that themselves. What if you had to have someone sign off on it or something like that? But
I think it should be put up to vote for the people.
I thought about that. They would probably never get a raise. They might, but they would really have to. That might be just the way to do it, Joey.
Yeah. Well, and think of it like this too. So here in local government, if y'all are going to vote something at the city and you're sitting on council, if it has to do with your livelihood, okay, so if it has to do with your business that you work for, you have to exclude yourself from that
immediately.
vote. Immediately.
Even if I know the person, like if there was a vote for you, and I know you, I would not vote.
And see, I think that's a big part of it too, because in local government, that's how it is.
Right.
They're going to say, no, you can't vote for this because that's your livelihood. So you have to step out. I think that when they vote on these bills and stuff like that, this should be the same thing. If you're voting on something and you've got thousands of stock shares that's going to affect that company and you own a bunch of it, you should not be able to vote. I think that they should have to exclude themselves and not vote for that bill.
Exactly. How about that? That's just common sense.
Yeah.
And I think they're doing something. At one point, Trump was trying to pass a bill that if you're in Congress, you can't trade the stock market at all. I don't know where that went to, or he was talking about it. I don't know if it was a bill, but there was something like that. If you had, you wouldn't have to break it down to a national level. Just say the people from that congressperson's district, he has to go to them if he wants a raise.
Yeah.
Right? That would make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
And then if a new person gets in there, you could figure out how to do that, whether you would just immediately go off of the pension the guy before was getting, and then if he wanted a raise or needed a raise, he could once again put it up for a vote. That would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I also think that all the bills, there's no more of these, 1,000, 2,000 page bills in there where it's got all these little things. No,
Right.
Sit down with each one and vote.
That would be great. You're not gonna. So here's the thing. I 100% agree with you. That is how it should be done. If you try to immediately do that right now, you would just not get anything done.
Yeah.
That's an issue. So we would have to change that. If we straight up said nothing can be done, if we passed a law saying that a bill can't be more than this many pages and address this maybe like 5 different issues or 10. Excuse me. I think that would really make a difference because everyone could read it. You could all see it. And then they couldn't do these big, massive bills, and they would have to start passing smaller bills and probably a lot more of them. But that's what they're there for. That's what we pay. That's why we pay them.
Exactly. And, and then they have the problem of people not showing up.
Yeah.
If you don't show up to vote,
That's what we pay you for.
then, hey, okay, that's fine. You don't get to vote. And now the public knows that you didn't show up to vote. So all those people that you're representing are going to know that you didn't show up to do the job that they voted you in to do.
Right. It's so the other issue with that is that people are so uninvolved in their politics that they don't realize who their congressman is, some of them, and they don't even know that he's missing. There was a guy from New Jersey, I think it was. Hasn't been there for months, I think. No one knew it. No one really, I say no one knew it. The broader public didn't know it. They never knew anyone was missing, but he just came back. But so there's still that issue of people not engaging in their government. But at the end of the day, in a way, you can't blame them because they've got their lives to live. But if there was a way to get people to be involved enough to say, look, we have to vote. So we're going to go vote. We need to know enough that we know who we should vote for. That would help a lot.
Yeah, I think that it would be good too as part of their campaign, that it's across the board, that it tells you there's, before you put anything on your webpage or any of your stuff, it's like, here's my track record. Here's the votes that I showed up for. Here's what I voted for. Here's what I did. Awesome. And it's just there. It's transparent. So when you're going to make these decisions about your candidates, boom, first thing that shows up is their track record of what they've been doing so far for that term. And it tells you. It tells you if they showed up or if they didn't show up. I think
and how they voted.
And how they voted. And how they voted for it.
Yep.
I think that would change a lot of things.
It would. Yep. That would be great.
And again, these are odd, just ideas just from some small town kid,
Man, sometimes the small town kids have it figured out. Sometimes they don't. And
I'm sure there's lots of flaws with these ideas. And like I said, they need to be discussed and sat down and,
But they're great starting points.
Yeah.
Man, if we could just start with some of these and talk about them, it would improve a lot of things.
Yeah.
Especially with this. When people say the swamp, what they're talking about is they're talking about those people that have been in there for 50 years.
Yeah.
Hardly do anything, vote to increase their pay, and
line their pockets with stocks and corporation donations.
Exactly.
And this and that. And then you got, other parts of the government too, the FDA, where you got so many of the last heads of the FDA now, they all work for either big food, big farm, or big insurance. And they make incredible salaries after they've sat in there, got their pension, passed all these things that they were paid basically to do from campaign contributions. And then they get this big fat job at the end of it where they're sitting on, making $500,000 a year.
Right.
It's crazy. It's
really
crazy. I mean, obviously that's not being open and transparent, you know, because
Mhm.
they're getting basically paid to pass these things through.
Exactly.
And, you know, things like that, they just need to be discussed and they need to be fixed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, again, I just think that there's simple things that can be at least start the conversation to roll this in a completely different way.
Yep.
And,
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
you know, if we could start with term limits, I think that would be a big moving point.
I think that there is enough support for that if we pushed it, there's a good chance we could do that.
Yeah.
That's one of the more the things that I would see happening sooner is term limits, which would be a good thing, I think, especially for now, where we're at now. I mean, you could have something to where if someone's been in there, if you wanted to, even this would be better than what we have now. Say if there's someone's in there for 8 years or 4 years, whatever the term limit is, if they're out for 4 years or 8 years, they can run again if they want. And if the people liked them good enough, they can go back in. That might not work. Maybe it should just be done the way the presidency's done, but it'd be a good start.
Yeah.
It'd be better than what we got now.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, man, I don't know. It's just, it's a lot to sit down and figure out because government has just grown so much and it's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. And I don't necessarily know if that's a good thing.
I don't think it is.
You know, I think less government, could be better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's kind of like, think about seatbelt laws and stuff. You know, it's, hey, you got to have a seatbelt on or you get a ticket.
Yeah, I think we should have the right to die.
Why?
The way we do
You know,
with
it's like that affects me. It doesn't affect anybody else. Now, I agree that maybe seatbelt laws for children because they don't get to make up their minds yet. That's a little bit different. You know, I'm not saying that, but you know, I don't know. I kind of see it in that kind of way that it's something that doesn't affect you at all. Why would you make a law about it if it only affects one individual at a time?
Right. Yeah, honestly, I think the seatbelt laws are, here's the thing. Do seatbelts save lives? Probably. But it's a little bit like the motorcycle helmet. In Texas, you don't have to wear one because they call it a right to die.
Yeah.
And I think the seatbelt should be the same way after you're 21 or whatever.
Yeah.
I just think they shouldn't be allowed to write you a ticket for that.
Yeah,
100%.
I agree with that.
So, and people say, he's against seatbelt law. Well, how much do you want the government to, how much power do you want the government to have over your life?
That's correct. I mean, I'm still going to wear my seatbelt, but,
Right.
you know, because I know that if I do get into an accident, the chances of it saving my life are greater than dying,
Right.
and I appreciate my life and stuff like that. I just think it's stupid.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Again, you know, I'm
They
not.
shouldn't be able to make you pay for not doing it.
Yeah.
That's where the problem
And that's
is.
what I'm talking about when it comes to like, are we really free or are we not free? You know, and it's just an idea. And again, you know, this show is about being able to share those ideas. I
Right.
mean, I'm not going to condemn anybody, and it's not for somebody to come up here and just rant and not see an objective point of view, because I play devil's advocate with my own ideas all the time. You know, just because I think it's a great idea, I try to think of the ins and outs of how it's a bad idea.
Right.
And what can go wrong with it. And there could be lots of things that go wrong with any specific idea that I
Right.
do have. But then again, that's why, you know, talking to other people too and getting a little bit outside of the box and connecting those dots a little bit more to make me understand. Because I'm a big person. I have to understand something before I can kind of get on board with it.
Right.
So, I mean, that's what this is all about. It's not, I'm not trying to get up here and rant and rave for, you know, one side or the other. It's just trying to get these ideas out here and just make people think a little critically.
Right. Right. I'm not a libertarian. I think there's a lot of laws that we have to have a properly functioning free society.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the risk that a person is allowed to take, now if he's putting other people at risk, it's an entirely different thing. But I'm generally in favor of people being allowed to take the risks that they want to, whether that means not wearing a seatbelt.
Yeah.
Or whether that means not wearing a motorcycle helmet. It's good to wear a helmet when you're on a motorcycle. Do
Yeah.
I? No, just because I like to get out and ride around with my bill cap or nothing. I don't do anything crazy. I just drive around. But yeah, I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's about you don't want the government to You want to have a healthy, functioning society, but you don't want the government. Generally speaking, the less power that the government has, the better.
Yeah.
Because now, if you had a government that was only run by great people, it might not be a problem. But we both know that's never going to happen.
That's never going to happen.
Right.
There's always going to be that different aspect.
Exactly.
To it, that somebody cares about themselves and doesn't care about the people, and it's going to happen. And yeah, like you said, it's unavoidable.
Right. So we need people that in government, we need people that have discernment and that aren't there for themselves. They're there because they actually want to serve the people, and they want the people to be free, have good life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah.
It's cliche, but that's really what it should be about.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, another one of my big things too is like property taxes.
No.
You know, how are they taxing us on money that we never made?
Right. So I understand that we have to have money to run things.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I don't think that the government should be able to take your property away because you didn't pay your property taxes. And now you're going to say, well, how are they supposed to enforce it? Well, we can talk about that. But you should never be in a position to where if you don't pay the government, they can take your land.
Yeah.
I don't like that at all.
Well, you live in your house for years, you know, so you buy a house at $100,000 just to make, easy math here. Mm-hmm. And then you live in your house for 15 years. And then that next thing you know, well, now they're wanting to charge you property tax on a $300,000 or $400,000 house. Wait a minute. Mm-hmm. I didn't buy a $300,000 or $400,000 house. I bought a $100,000 house.
Joey, I think that might be genius. If they collected property tax based on the value that you paid for it until someone else bought it.
Yeah, because then you're selling it. You know, and somebody else is buying that, amount of money. It just doesn't make sense that every single year the taxes are going to go up because, property is going to go up. People are going to pay more because, whatever's happening, a lot of people from California started moving to Texas and stuff like that. So the housing market went up like crazy. But why am I being taxed on something that I didn't pay that much? I didn't sell anything. You know what I mean? I didn't do this. Now, maybe the tax situation changes a little bit if you do like a cash out.
Right.
I just think that there's things that could make a little bit more sense than what we're doing right now.
Exactly. And there's some pretty easy solutions that could be implemented.
One of the ideas that I've always had too, and about taxes, make it where it's a consumption tax. So if you took away income taxes, you took away property taxes. So now you have your whole paycheck. You don't have to pay property, or you pay property taxes, but you pay it one time. You pay this much money for your house. You got to pay taxes on that, but that's it. That's all you pay is that amount of taxes. But everything that you buy, so every time you go to the store and buy clothes, shoes, cars, boats, whatever, then we're already paying taxes on those things.
Right.
Bump up the tax there a little bit to make it more of a consumption tax. And if you did this too, a lot of people are thinking, well, what about corporations? What about corporations? If they're not, here's the thing, how like that kind of thing works, and I'm dumbing it down here, but a corporation makes money, but they have to spend money to make that money. So they don't get taxed on the money that they spend. They only get taxed on revenue. Right. On the profits that they make. So every year is what they're doing. They're like, oh man, we got all this revenue that we made. If we don't buy something to spend that money down, we're going to end up paying it in taxes anyway. Right. So why not go buy a yacht? Right. Well, now the corporations aren't going to be taxed on their income that they're making anymore. But they're going to be taxed on their yachts, and they're going to be taxed on the properties that they buy, and they're going to be taxed on the cars that they buy, the things that the most consumption that those companies are consuming, that's what the taxes are going to go to. Same thing with people. So if you buy more cars, you buy a new car every year, you're going to pay more taxes than somebody that keeps their car for 10 years. If you go and if I go buy a pair of jeans that are $50, I'm going to pay taxes on $50 worth of jeans. But then you got people that go out there and buy $300 pair of jeans, $400 pair of jeans. Then you're going to pay more taxes. Same thing with like, if I go buy a Toyota Corolla, I'm going to pay a certain amount of taxes on that. But if I'm going to go buy a Lamborghini, you're going to pay quite a bit more taxes on that Lamborghini. So I think that would kind of be a better fit, because now it's turning into the more you consume as an individual, the more taxes that you're paying.
Right. I tend to agree with limitations. Like you couldn't take that too far.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever thought about just having a flat tax? I don't know that would work. It's just something I've thought about. Well, what if we just had a flat tax and there wasn't the property tax and then the income tax and all that? If it was just more of a flat tax, I don't know how that would work, but sometimes I think it would be better than what we have now. Although I do think that what we have now, could it be better? Yes. It could also be a lot worse.
Mm-hmm.
So if we did tax just based on income, I think we should do more of that. I think we should ratchet up the not the income tax. Sorry, I meant the consumer tax, like the sales tax. So if we would ratchet that up, and then back down on these other things, I would be in favor of that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. As long as it doesn't get too crazy to where you're paying everything you buy, you're paying another half that much just for the taxes.
And I do think that should be capped as well.
Right.
And it could be tiered, think of it in that kind of situation. So, if you're just going to go buy a basic automobile, and say that it's under $80,000 or whatever. Again, just throwing some numbers out there. I don't want to try to piss anybody off. And again, these are just ideas, people. If you're going to go buy an $80,000 car, you're going to get taxed a certain percentage, on that car.
Right.
Or vehicle, I should say. But if you're going to go buy a $250,000 car, go ahead and increase that percentage a little bit.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Because it's more of a luxury.
Right.
I think the flat tax thing, I don't necessarily think that would work, just because, again, somebody that makes $50,000 a year compared to somebody that makes $250,000 a year is completely different. So if they're paying the same flat tax, you're kind of getting out of that fairness type of thing. So
yeah, that's fair. So it's been a while since I thought through this, but when I was thinking through it, I had a solution for that, but I don't remember what it is off the top of my head.
That's fair. That happens.
But it's more of a flat tax in the sense that, and I don't know how you would implement it. You would have to figure out how to implement it. But I would generally be in favor of having more of a sales tax and have it more tiered like that. That would make sense, because then the people who are just getting by don't have to pay as much, but the people who want to live in luxury will pay a little bit more.
Exactly.
That would make sense.
Yeah. No, it's just something I thought about kind of for years and kicking around, just having conversations with just, people
Right.
like yourself. I mean, That's how these things came about. And again, like I said, I don't think I have all the answers or anything like that. Again, I'm just out here.
Some good ideas.
I'm just talking people. So
when are you going to run for office?
I don't know, man. I don't know. This thing's keeping me pretty busy. It's keeping me busier than I thought it would. From when I started, and I'm very happy about that, because I very much enjoy sitting down and talking with people.
Man, it's a good thing.
I always have. And, and I'm not just sitting here talking to local politicians. I'm having regular people on,
Right.
Small business owners, people that are just trying to do cool stuff,
Right.
I had my nephew on, he talked about, his life. I mean, he had a crazy life. He did the Appalachian Trail. He was a ski instructor. He was hired as a ski instructor and never skied before. Pretty funny. And
Your nephew.
my nephew, yes.
Oh, wow.
He also did glacier tours in Alaska. He's done all sorts of really cool stuff. And I had him on, And so I'm just talking to people that are, in the town and from this area that can't, you just push the top of it down. Yes.
Uh-huh.
And so, yeah, I will literally sit down and talk to anybody.
That's awesome.
And because I think that everybody around here, they need a voice too. And again, I get better ideas from sitting down and having these conversations, and hopefully they will too. And hopefully, everybody out here that's listening, can kind of think about things at a little bit different kind of level.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so, I mean, that's what I'm trying to do with this thing. And but the running for office still, I don't know, man. I've thought about doing it again. Still chewing on it. I guess,
Yeah.
I don't know how it would affect this
Mm-hmm.
if I did that.
Right.
But
This could be big. I think it will be. And in a lot of ways, it's just as important, if not more important, to have these conversations than it would be to run for office. I mean, I think if it were on, if you could get it anywhere, a lot of people would it would catch on, and a lot of people would start listening to it.
yeah, I'm trying to work on that. You're a tech guy, right? So maybe you can help me out with some of this stuff.
I'm Amish, bro. I'm not very techie at all.
Nah, I got some people helping. I've been very blessed with having people that are donating their time
Awesome.
to help me out because they believe in this thing too. So hopefully, as I scrape funds together and stuff like that, and start building, more followers and maybe get some sponsors on here, the better things will get. The production will get better. More people will want to come on. So I can talk to these people and again, just share these ideas that we have from a local standpoint, man, and get it out there. I mean, I think it'll be better for y'all as the representatives that we have for the city here. It could be better for the representatives that are, in our counties,
Right.
county commissioners and stuff like that. So people get an understanding of who these
Right.
people are, and again, it's not it's not a show where I'm sitting here and I'm like, all right, well, you got 2 minutes, and
Right.
then we got a commercial break, and then you get to come back for 2 more minutes, and
Right.
and then this and that. So we're going for hours here. We could talk
Long
about
form, yeah.
we could talk about whatever you want, and it's kind of no holds bar per se.
Right. I didn't especially. I'm too busy nowadays to really. Man, it's crazy busy right now
Mhm.
with the young company and working for the city and everything. But I didn't come here with any specific thing in mind. I just. So when you asked me, I was like, well, I don't know. But I do love politics. I think politics is important, and I get pretty passionate and opinionated sometimes about politics. But
That's okay. I mean, everybody should be.
should be
Again, it's just having that
With an open
with
mind.
an open mind,
Right.
of not being able to, you can't come into it without being able to at least give the same respect of listening to an objective idea.
Yeah. Right.
So
That's really important, actually, and sometimes I'll be like, man, if I had someone to debate with who would play devil's advocate, I could figure these things out. Because I was Amish, and the Amish don't have, their culture is very unified.
Mhm.
I mean, you wear the same things, you in a lot of ways eat the same food. Like Sunday dinner is always the same thing. And I went to Africa. The guy I stayed with, like they had like what would you call it? It was basically just a little house where all the English teachers stayed. And it didn't matter what idea you had. If you were opinionated, he would play devil's advocate, and he was good. He was good. And it really made you think through why you think the things that you do.
yeah,
And sometimes I would think, well, that's stupid. I don't know why I'm never making that argument again. That's dumb. And just like that. But it was really
Yeah.
healthy. It's a healthy atmosphere of, I know what I think, but if someone disagrees, I want to hear what they have to say.
yeah, same.
And I want to be cross-checked by, cross-checked isn't the word I'm looking for. It's like cross-examined.
Yeah.
I want my opinions to be cross-examined. because if I'm going to believe in them, if I'm going to believe what I believe, I want to know that what I'm believing is right. Because if I believe what I believe and I don't, and I just assume that I'm right and I refuse to listen to anyone who wants to disagree with me, you're never going to get anywhere.
No, you're not. You're never going to grow.
You have your head up your own ass.
Yeah, you're never going to grow. And you're exactly right. No, I 100% agree with that. And with media these days, the media, I found out a long time ago, is complete horseshit.
Yep.
They want ratings. They want us fighting with each other. They want us all sorts of things.
Exactly.
And it's because, well, look at the media.
Make some money.
Yeah, look at the media and who they're sponsored by. And now all of a sudden you come on that show, well, you can't talk about this because these are our sponsors.
Right. And that's why podcasts like this,
Yeah,
and the long form people just talking are getting so popular.
I agree. And it's more genuine, and it's more. I mean, even if I did get sponsors on this thing, I'm not going to sit here with the person that's across from me and say, "Hey, you can't talk about these people." No, that's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
If somebody is going to sponsor this thing, you're sponsoring it because you believe in it. And you do believe in open ideas, and maybe you do need to hear something about your company or whatever it is that is doing the sponsor, because somebody had that idea or had that opinion or whatever else. Maybe they need to rethink things.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I don't. When I hear or see an advertisement, if it's on a show that I generally disagree with the people, I won't connect that to the sponsor. I don't think it should be that way. I think that the shows that are doing sponsorships should be able to talk about whatever they want, and the sponsors are just there to
get their
name out there.
Get their name out there.
Get
their product, whatever.
Exactly. Yep. That's how it should be. So I won't boycott someone because they're on a show that I don't like. If I know that company is actively doing evil things, I might not, just because I don't want to do that, but just because they're a sponsor, it shouldn't affect it.
Yeah,
really.
No, I completely agree with that, man. So what do you like to do for fun, brother?
A lot of things. I like fishing. This is gonna sound crazy. You're gonna think, man, it's just average country boy, but I like hunting and fishing. Although I don't do very much of it. I do, honestly. One of my favorite things to do, and I'll get together with some of my wife's uncles and do this, or my father-in-law, just sit down, have some whiskey and a cigar, and you can talk about anything.
Oh, yeah. That's right up my alley, man.
Yeah, that's what I like to do. I do go fishing. My in-laws have a nice pond. I'll go fishing in, and they take care, like they do it right. Like they get they take care of the fish, and like we got so many fish of this size we got to keep out because we need to. They keep tabs on what's happening in the pond, so it's actually pretty great. I'm just getting more into that. When I was growing up, I would hunt turkey religiously. Like I would fill my tags. If I didn't fill my tag, something was wrong. 2 tags. You get 2 in the spring and 2 in the fall in Missouri. But so I did a lot of that. Never really got that big into sports. I do enjoy football. I'm no guru by any means. Like there's things that happen that I still don't know what's happening when they do it. Hockey is not that way. I played a lot of hockey growing up.
Hockey's fun to watch.
And so, but what do I do for fun is a different question. Not much, honestly, nowadays.
Yeah.
Not too much. If I have spare time, I'll go fishing or have a cigar.
Yeah.
Pretty much. That's the extent of it.
Yeah, I like torching cigars. Hopefully one of these days we'll have an area where we can torch up and kind of relax, have a couple glasses of whiskey and just kind of chill and talk.
That'd be awesome.
I grew up, fishing, hunting. I don't get to do those things as much as I would like to either.
Right.
With life the way it is. I do want to kind of start planning maybe a hunting trip every year where I take like 2 weeks off maybe and just backpack hunt. So just kind of get out in nature.
That's great. That's what you kind of got to do if you're busy.
Yeah.
You got to schedule it and just make it happen.
And I don't have the money to like get a lease or anything like that. I would literally have to just go on public land and like backpack and camp and scout and really hunt instead of just feeding out something and sitting in a feeder. I mean, just because I can't afford to do that, but I can, regardless, even if I did, go hunting like that, I didn't shoot anything. I still had a good time because I went out and got in nature and I did all these things, and saw, all the pretty stuff.
It's fun regardless.
Yeah.
There's some really good hunting on public land. You just have to put more work in, and you have to be willing to sometimes walk further.
Yeah.
But we used to, growing up, actually this was at the Amish Mennonites, so the car Amish, every year for a week and a half, sometimes 2 weeks in the spring and fall. So for turkey and deer, what we would do is we'd take big Rubbermaid totes, wrap them up in there's a moving pad kind of a thing, and we put them on pack horses, and we'd pack 5 miles into wilderness and just live there, camp, set up a hunting camp and hunt. And sometimes at the end of hunting camp, you'd have 8 deer hanging up there. That was where the work was packing out, because we had to pack all the deer out. So we had to take several 5-mile trips with horses to get all the stuff back out. But man, it was a good time.
Yeah.
A real good time.
Yeah, I've got a backpack and stuff like that can handle deer hunting, because it'll hold like you can have your regular stuff in there, and then it's got like where you can kind of detach and pack like an extra 150 pounds in there, so you could get a deer and quarter it up and be able to pack that out. Of course, that's like you said, that's where the work's going to come in, because you're going to back
that's
out
hard work.
A big heavy pack, it'll probably be around 200 pounds at that point with the rest of your gear and stuff. But I don't know. I think it'd be fun. I did a backpacking trip a few years ago that was a lot of fun, and it was very eye-opening and humbling at the same time. Got to see lots of cool stuff and do lots of cool stuff. I do have a question. So back when, in your Amish days and stuff like that, did y'all have rifles, or was it like bow hunting, or?
We did have rifles. That's something the Amish have a lot of, is guns. Like the gun culture's a lot bigger than you would think, and it's great. So yeah, we had a lot of rifles. In fact, we did some crazy things back in my day. We would don't do this at home, but we would, to test how strong a BB gun was, we would walk out 25 yards and say, "Hey, shoot me in the back with this," and we'd put a coat on or something. But that was just with BB guns. You had to take, before we could hunt, we had to take what in Missouri was called the Missouri Hunter Safety Course.
Yeah, you had to do that here too.
And the Amish would do it for themselves, so they'll designate someone in their churches to go get certified with the state, and then they'll come back and teach so everyone gets it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Via the Amish. So it's not like they're unsafe, they're just a little risky sometimes. Maybe a little retarded too, I don't know. We were, but...
I grew up having BB gun wars and stuff like that with my cousins and friends, and we would go like, it's, chest down. It was just Daisy BB guns. We weren't doing
our version of airsoft.
Yeah, we weren't doing like where you pump it up.
No. Because some of those,
they're pretty powerful.
They're way too powerful to be pulling stuff like that with. But yeah, we had a lot of guns. We would bow hunt as well, though. So what I would do is I did recurve, so no sights, nothing. It was instinctive, just because there's just something primal.
I was gonna say, man, that's very skilled.
So because what you could do when I would hunt bow is in the fall, and I would get deer tags and turkey tags, so I could basically shoot whatever I saw. Not quite whatever I saw, but I mean, pretty much. And there was one time when I shot a deer and a turkey, but I found the deer, but I never found the turkey, so I don't know where they went to. But it's a lot of bow, but also a lot of rifle for the Amish guys. And the hunting culture is big because it's something that they're allowed to do.
Yeah.
And they don't have that many things that they're allowed to do, so they really get into it.
That would make sense.
Pretty religious about it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Yeah, living that way without all those amenities, though. I mean, golly, I bet that the hunting and fishing part is probably pretty important.
Yeah. So it's funny that you should say that. We would go hunting, but us guys were always trying to shoot the bucks, right? And sometimes we'd pass up the does because we only had one tag that was for any deer, and we wanted to, because that's what it was back then. You had so many doe tags and then like 2 any deer tags, which meant that you could only shoot bucks on those, right? Now you could shoot 6 or 7 back in Missouri then, but when our doe tags were full and we wanted a buck, we wouldn't waste an any deer tag on a doe. And Mom didn't like that because she wanted meat, and so she would go hunting, but she never went hunting. Like, she would let the bucks walk and shoot the does because she did it strictly for meat, because we would butcher all of them, right?
Yeah.
Nothing would go to waste. And man, she's a sharpshooter. She showed us up a time or two. She would normally fill her tags too.
Yeah.
She wouldn't. Here's what would happen. She wouldn't unless we didn't get the meat she needed. And then she'd say, well, man, I got to get out there and get the meat that we need. And so she would go hunting. Because that was a part of the way we ate, right?
Yeah.
So we had to have
Yeah, you had to
that
have
many
it.
deer, right?
No, that makes a lot of sense. I know when I would go hunting and stuff like that, I'd usually pass on the does. Again, yeah, I would shoot one if it was towards like the end of the season and stuff, and I didn't have anything, and I'd, definitely want the deer meat. But to me, shooting a doe that's a less deer for next year. One less deer from the, that's going to be on the following year, because, the does are the ones that have babies.
Right.
So yeah, I'm looking for the bucks, or the bigger, older bucks, because again, you got to clear out the older animals and stuff like that. And that's where it comes from. It's not necessarily trophy hunting in that sort of way. It's just trying to like do nature's, it's because if an old deer is out there and then, younger deers are coming up, they're eating and stuff like that, then the older deers, they're having a hard time getting around. They can either, be taken out by
That's a good thing.
coyotes or something
thing.
like that. So instead of having some kind of death that doesn't matter, well, I guess it doesn't matter because something's eating off of it, but it's going to a human being that's going to feed their family with it. I'm going to go for that. But yeah, I'm just not going to go out there opening day and just start blasting everything that I see.
Exactly. So, and the Missouri Department of Conservation was actually, several times I've been impressed with how they keep tabs on that, because the turkey was the opposite. And the reason for that is just because of that. It was for the population. So basically they would issue doe tags based on how many were available, because we had does running all over the place, and we didn't have that many bucks. Now it might switch, and they keep tabs on it.
Yeah.
In fact, they will recruit. They have a spot where you can, because in my area in Missouri, my area of that county, I knew where all the turkey flocks were. I kept close tabs on them. I had several properties I could hunt on. And besides that, so I didn't have a driver's license because I was too young, but I would take the tractor and buzz around the county roads with my dad on my dad's dime, and and spot these turkey flocks, and then I would report them to the Department of the Department of Conversation. What the heck? The Department of Conservation.
Yeah.
And so that was why they allowed you to shoot 5 does and 2 bucks. Then the deer population was really good around there, but as it goes down, that would probably change, because I'm not super versed on the laws around here right now.
Every county is different. I know most of them around here are like 1 buck, 2 doe. But that changes too, because they keep up with everything and all that. So you got to go up, towards like the Panhandle and stuff like that, to where you can get what they call 2 buck counties, where you can actually get 2 bucks instead of just 1.
That's what I love about Texas, is they often more so have the different counties. You'll get into different regulations more than Missouri for sure. They do have a big problem in Missouri with the deer zombie disease, the CWD, chronic wasting disease they call it. So if you see that, they let you just shoot them, because it's bad. It was bad in northern Missouri. I don't know how it is right now, but in the past it has been bad in northern Missouri. But yeah, those were good times.
Yeah. I know some places, some counties around here too will have like a spike season.
Spike season.
So, where you can go and clear kind of those out because of the genetics, obviously, trying to weed those genetics out. Because obviously they have a harder time defending themselves as well,
Right.
too, because you got a deer with a big rack, and then you got the little bitty thing over there. They can't really protect themselves against something that's got a gigantic rack.
We would try to do that. We would say this buck, we couldn't have trail cameras, but we spent a lot more time in the woods, so we still knew what was happening
Knew
around
what
there.
everything was.
And we said, there's this buck that we need to kill because he's got bad genes, because his rack was. Speaking of which, my mother-in-law shot one. I don't remember exactly when it was in one of the last several years. That was just, man. Everything was from the base of the horn, and it had like 4 spikes or something weird. But they got it mounted. It looks crazy. I'll get out.
I bet it's
Wild. But it was very obviously some kind of a stray crazy gene or something.
Yeah. Yeah, they have like around here too. You got like typical and non-typical, where you got
Right.
like a regular, what normal deer would look like, and then you got something that have like 30 spikes, coming out of it or something like that. It's something insane.
Right.
Yeah, that's fun. So, what kind of fishing do you like to do the most? You do like bass fishing, like bobber fishing? What?
So I like both. I do like bass fishing a lot. Growing up, I did a lot of bluegill, bobber, and we would eat those as well. But we had a pond where it would have, and this is probably where the term honey hole comes from, but it would have a specific area like 10 foot by 10 foot in the pond that because what we would do then is we'd get worms and we'd do like actual bobber fishing. You would catch a fish every time.
Yeah.
Every time. And I was out there fishing with my niece, who's older than me, actually, because big family or whatever. And we had a fish come and bite mine and bite hers, so they just can't get enough of it. So we both caught a fish and like, hey, and it was the same fish.
That's
we pulled
funny.
it out. Crazy stuff like that. But the bobber fishing was really good there. But I do more bass fishing than bluegill. Do you have a preference or?
I like bobber fishing and throw out a couple different poles, and kind of sit there, chill, grab a beer, a glass of whiskey, and a cigar,
That is fun, yeah.
and just kind of watch. But I have a buddy that's a guide, and that I
Awesome.
grew up with, and so we would go out with him on the boat. And the last time we went striper fishing or hybrid fishing, and that was a lot of fun. Topwater fishing, man, they explode out of the water to get those things, and they fight like crazy, and
Man,
it's
that's
a
fun.
good time. But I grew up more like sand bass, crappie, catfish, catfish fishing, stuff like that.
I tell you what I've done in Texas more than anything that is a lot of fun is bow fishing. That's a lot of fun. You got some good spots down in Whitney Lake Whitney that's a lot of fun. Get out there, stay out there till 3 a.m. and
Yeah. I have a bow. I have a couple, but I have one that I want to get set up for bow fishing just because I think that would be so much fun.
It is.
I had a cousin that did it for a long time, and he always enjoyed it. And I was like, man, that does seem like a lot of fun. So yeah, that's one of the things on my list of hobbies that I want to, get started.
a guy I worked for down in Osceola, actually, just south of Covington, is where I worked. He has a barn shop down there. He had a nice one, like a nice big boat, like you're talking probably $30,000 boat or something. And man, it was so much fun. There was a period there where almost every weekend he would go. I didn't go every weekend, but he would say, "Hey, I'm going bow fishing. You want to go with?" Every 2 weeks or something. It was a good time because we'd have cigars as well.
Yeah. What kind of boat did he have? Was it like an airboat?
No, it wasn't an airboat, but it halfway looked like it had been at one point, but I don't know if it had been. But it was, someone decked it out for bow fishing, so you could have 8 people.
Oh, wow.
Because it was big, and it was perfect. It had a real quiet generator to run everything. but that is a lot of fun.
Man, I'm gonna have to do that because I've been wanting to do it for years.
It's a lot of fun. But I probably did more of that in Texas than actual fishing, I would say. Because I haven't really gone fishing that much. I should go in Lake Pat, but I've never tried. Normally when I go over to the lake, it's either for golfing or then just to chill.
Yeah. It's nice having a lake here.
Yeah.
That you can just kind of go fishing. I go out to Buddy Stewart every now and then, and
go
fishing out there. I want to get a nice kayak, like the one that you could stand on.
Mm-hmm.
I think they call them high seats, where
Gotcha.
you're not like down into the kayak when you're sitting, you're more on top of it. And so it's wider and kind of flat base, so you can stand and it's a little bit more sturdy.
Mm-hmm.
And those are more expensive, of course, but I think anything that I really want, I always look at something and I'm like, this is what I want. And I'm like, why is it the most expensive thing?
Right.
That way you could go in there and fish though. So you could fish regularly. And then also you could bow fish as well.
Yeah. Now, once again, it's expensive. You can get up to $7,000 in it really quickly.
Yeah.
But Hobie makes a kayak that they have a system where you can do it like you can have like a paddle system that you put in, or you can have an electronic system that will anchor you to where if you hit a button, it'll keep you right there.
Oh, okay.
And it's nice, but in order to justify spending that much money, I would have to go fishing a whole lot more than what I do. But it would be awesome to have.
Yeah.
Kayaking's fun.
I know, I believe the law here in Texas is too, if it's got a motor, so any type of that's not self-generated, in other words, you have to register it like a boat.
Right.
So even if you just got
you'd have to
a trolling motor, you got to register it as a boat. Yeah. I've seen some too where you get like paddle with your feet.
Do you have to do that if it's your own lake, like private water?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know.
I don't know that either. But the one that I use sometimes is it's not mine, is just paddle. But even the paddles are really cool. It's got kind of a duck paddle system, and you can push forward on a pedal, and the paddles will fold up against the boat, so you can go pretty much wherever you need to. And you got forward and reverse on it, but it's not electronic.
Yeah,
so
it's self-generated.
Right. So you could buy the electric system that would have the anchoring system where it keeps you in one spot, GPS, but that's quite a bit more money for that.
Yeah, it's definitely something I've had on my list for a couple of years now that I want to do.
It's
I think it'd be
fun.
good exercise too.
Yeah, it would.
I don't know, paddleboarding is super challenging, for your core and stuff like that. So if you got a kayak that you could paddleboard off of too, well, I mean, because you would kind of need to, so you'd be able to stand and bow hunt at the same time and paddle where you need to, and then get in position. I don't know, man. I just think that would be so much fun.
It is. Man, we should go bow fishing. I have what technically I guess you would say I own part of a bow fishing boat, but it's old and kind of it's ready to roll, like it's registered and everything. A buddy of mine has it down in Covington, but I never really use it. I don't really have a way to pull it, and it's not big. It's like for 3 people.
Gotcha.
And it has a funny system on the back where it's not like I don't know, they call it like a mud system or something, to where it's got the prop is like 10 feet behind the boat, and it's got a long arm that goes down into the water kind of thing. Okay. And you can spin it all the way around. Like when you're hauling it, you put it all up on the boat. I don't know what you call it. It's got a big old engine on there though.
Yeah, I have no idea what it's called.
I don't really love it. It's kind of impractical.
Yeah.
I feel like. But
we'll have to set something up and go bow fishing sometime. That'd be a lot of fun, man.
It'd be a lot of fun. I don't have a bow. I used to have a bow. I have to get one. I had a PSE, so it wasn't an expensive one. It was a cheaper one, but I was using it. Excuse me, and it just fell apart. Like bam, popped.
Oh yeah.
So I don't have any at the moment.
Well, there's a place if you're going like towards Alvarado, little local place here. They do really good work. We went. My son got a bow one year for Christmas, and we went down there and had it set up for him. So they did all the adjustments.
Alvarado Archery, is that what it's called? That's where I got mine.
Yeah, that's where I want to take. So I've got like a Buckmaster bow, and that's the one I want to get set up for bow fishing. And then I've got like an older Hoyt bow
Gotcha.
that I would like to set up just so I could, shoot in the backyard and stuff like that. I would love to get into bow hunting, but I mean, I think I would need to get efficient in rifle hunting first for what I want to do with the backpack hunting and stuff like that before I went for bow. So I got plenty of time for that one, but I do want to get the fishing thing set up, man. And
I have currently, this isn't for bow fishing, but for like bow hunting, like for deer and stuff.
Mhm.
I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but they make this bow that's about that tall, and it's made to where you can shoot it laying down, like prone position or
Oh.
squatting in tall grass. Got it from my brother. It's a private company out of California called Liberty Archery, but it's really cool because you can group really good with it.
Really, I'm gonna have to check that out.
It's basically a slingshot
Yeah.
kind of a thing, but it's pretty cool. I shoot it every once in a while. I haven't really shot anything but an armadillo with it, but I do want to take it bow hunting one of these days. I have this thing where I get all set up to hunt because I have this, my father-in-law said, look, you can hunt right here. And I went, I fed the deer, got it all set up, never got time to go out there.
Oh man.
This is crazy.
That's a bummer. Yeah, I mean, life gets so busy so quick.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get to that point to where, where, I don't know, I want to enjoy life a little bit more. I guess it's because maybe it's an age thing, who knows, because it's, kind of hitting that mid-mark or whatever, midlife crisis, whatever,
Right.
They want to call it. I just kind of want to enjoy life a little bit more instead of
Right.
constantly having to run around doing this and that. I've basically had 2 jobs since I can remember. So, I mean, when I was in high school, I had a job, and we lived in the country. So there was constantly things, animals to take care of, this and that. And I, worked a job, played football, went to school, all that. Graduated, went to college, worked full time all through college, and I graduated and started working. One of my first jobs after I graduated college was, I guess I hadn't graduated college yet, but I was getting pretty close, was the city of Cleburne. I worked
nice.
there as a drafting tech. That's what I got my degree in, was drafting and design.
Gotcha.
And so worked there, but I also still worked at Chili's here in town, waiting tables and stuff like that. And then, left the city, got another job, still worked,
2 jobs.
waiting tables.
Waiting tables.
Yeah, still waiting tables and bartending, and had 2 jobs for.
Man, you look like you could be a badass bartender. Be honest.
I was pretty decent. So I worked at this place called Lone Star Cafe. It's in Hillsboro, and
Gotcha.
they have a gigantic bar. And one Sunday, the bartender called in, and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna put you behind the bar today." And I was like, "Are you okay with that?" Because the bar was weird on Sundays. Most of the time, you would get a few people in there, like sitting in, because it was a smoking section too. So you would have a couple people come in and sit in there, and so you wouldn't get that many tables. But then all of a sudden, like a biker club would come through, or a bunch of people that were traveling somewhere, going somewhere, and then you would have 20 to 50 people sitting at your bar.
Oh, wow.
And they would all come in, and they'd want drinks and then want some lunch and then kind of clear out. So, but you never knew if that was going to happen or not. So your money situation was always weird. But I was like, I want the experience to be behind the bar, learning how to make drinks and stuff like that. And so on Sundays was 99-cent Bloody Marys. So I learned to make some badass Bloody Marys. So then next thing you know, a couple months into it, everybody would come in on Sundays to drink my Bloody Marys.
Man,
and
that sounds awesome.
So I had a lot of free time back there. So I would tape up, an empty liquor bottle or whatever. I would fill it up with water to, different levels, and then duct tape them and start learning how to kind of spin bottles and spin glasses and stuff like that. So I got a lot of spare time to be able to do that type of stuff. And I wasn't anything like cocktail or nothing like that. You know, I wasn't like throwing stuff up in the air, and I would try to do that stuff, but I wouldn't do it like with live liquor bottles or anything,
Gotcha.
you know?
That sounds fun.
But, so when I was going to school in Hillsboro at the time at the Hill College there. When I came to Cleburne, I started at Chili's, and Chili's is at that time, I don't know if it's still like that or not, but it was a tryout situation. So if you wanted to be a bartender, you had to try out.
Gotcha.
And you had to know all the drinks, exactly how to make all their signature margaritas and all their signature drinks and all that stuff, but they wanted to see flair. So the flipping, you know, of the glasses and stuff like that. So I was like, oh man. And also the bar there at Lone Star, once I started working like Saturday nights and Friday nights out there helping out, because they would usually have 2 or 3 bartenders on, because it was a great big bar. I mean, and we did karaoke on Saturday nights sometimes too. So sometimes you're as a bartender, there would be 3 of us, and there's like 200 people that we're taking care of. So I was used to being super, super busy, making drinks, running around, doing all these different things. And the bar top here in Cleburne's like 11 seats, 12 seats, something like that. So, I mean, that to me was a piece of cake, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So I kind of walked in after a couple of months and tried out for bartender. And there was a lot of people that I think were kind of aggravated because they'd been there for a long time and they didn't make it. But I mean, with the experience that I had, come on. I remember I went through training, and it was my last night of training, and they're like, yep, you're closing the bar at this point. We're just kind of here to, you know, they had 2 bartenders for the busy part on Friday and Saturday nights. I came in at 6, and so basically it's like my first shift as a bartender. And I was like, I went to the manager and I went, hey, can we cut the other bartender? And they were like, what? No, we can't do that. It's Friday night. And I was like, hey, listen, I'm used to taking care of a whole side of a restaurant, a bar that can hold like 50 people, and a smoking section that had like 12 6-person booths in it.
Wow.
I was used to taking care of all that alone. And now I'm taking care of 11 seats and the restaurant. I was like, please.
Yeah.
I said, I'll tell you what. Let the other bartender just kind of sit over here and monitor. And if I'm taking care of everything, what do you say about like 7:30? If I'm taking care of everything, because that's usually what the peak of everything was. Like, okay, sure enough, man, 7:30. They're like, yeah, you can go. This guy's got it. And I was just used to it, man. I was a hustler, and I wanted to make my money. You know, I knew I was going to be there all night. I was like, man, the more that I'm here alone by myself, the more money I'm going to make at the end of the day.
How does that generally make good money?
It can,
with
man.
the tips and stuff.
It can. Yeah, definitely bartending and stuff like that, because, and all restaurants are different. So at Lone Star, the tipping thing was, people would come, the servers, before they left. We had an expediter, and you got to tip them out, but it wasn't a set like percentage of your sales or anything like that. It was, how do you think that they did, and you give them some money. And they're the ones that fixes your plates for you and gets it ran out. You know, they're doing all that stuff. And then you have your bartender. If you're making drinks, they're making drinks good for you. Like by the time you're coming, you ring everything in, you go get your iced teas and your waters, and then you come to the bar for your bar drinks. If they're already there, over and over again, you don't have to wait for them very long. Again, it was like they would tip you out too, and it was no set percentage. It was just, they just throw down some money. So you got that, and then you got all the tips from everybody else. And then you would tip out your bussers, same thing.
Like
I would always,
the guys that carried the food out or something?
The bussers are where they come and clean your tables.
Oh, gotcha. And is there a name for the guys that carry the food out? Because I've
runners,
been to Chili's.
We call them runners, yeah.
Runners. I've been to Chili's, and I've seen him, and I talked with a guy there, and he said, yeah, he has people carrying food out for him.
Yeah. We call them runners. They would come in usually on the really, really busy days.
Gotcha.
But that's kind of how it worked. At Chili's, it was different because it was a percentage of your sales. So,
gotcha.
You know, at the end of the day, it was like you have so much bar sales from your night from working there, and you had to go and tip so much to the bartender. So that's how Chili's kind of works. So you actually got extra money from that too. So yeah, I mean, sometimes you'd make some pretty good money at Chili's, you know, $150, $200 on a really good night, closing a bar. Now, like working at Lone Star, man, we would do karaoke nights.
Mm-hmm.
There'd be 3 of us, and we're all walking out with, you know, $300-400.
Oh, nice.
It was nice, but I mean, there's a lot of people,
right?
You know, and you're there till, you know, 3:30 in the morning, cleaning up everything, you know, because you had to close down all the stuff,
right,
and make sure everything was good and clean. So it was a lot of work, but man, it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun. It was a good time.
That's something I never was very familiar with because we never did any of that. We barely went out to eat when I was Amish. Going out to eat was, man, that was a treat.
Oh, I bet.
You didn't really get to do that much, but
so
that's interesting.
Did y'all make y'all's own like wine and
yeah? So Dad made all the
stuff?
wine for like communion.
Mm-hmm.
So what he would do is he would make the wine that the church used for, but he would make several batches because I don't know how he did all of it. He would make it in wood barrels, I think. But we had our own grapes and our own raspberries and our own blackberries and our own blueberries and our own everything. But he would take those grapes, and from the grapes that we raised, he would make the wine for the communion, like that the church used. And so, do you drink a lot? No. Like the only alcohol we really had was, because we'd make cider. We'd get like, and when I say bushels, it was we would get like 50 or 100 bushels, but we'd get them by a big crate that was like, I don't know, 6 foot by 6 foot, 4 foot deep. Is how we'd get our apples. We had an orchard, but it never produced enough for us. We had maybe 6-7 acres of orchard. And we would make cider. And then that cider gets hard because we'd have several 50-gallon drums full of vinegar that we would make off these apples. Well, there's a point between when that apple juice, because we'd can some of it just for fresh apple juice, but there's a point between the apple juice and the vinegar. If you hit it just right, it's great. and so we called it hard cider. That's what we called it. But it was some pretty good stuff. It could get strong if you dipped off the top. It would get strong real quick because all the alcohol kind of rises to the top, and you would get a bunch of bubbles and some apple juice, and that was pretty much the extent of it. That and wine. So there's not really any whiskeys or anything. So that was a whole new world, man. When I left the Mennonites here, I went to some liquor stores and I tried a whole bunch of whiskeys, and I used to have like 50 bottles of just a bunch of different stuff. You know, I was just new, trying to figure out what I liked and stuff.
Yeah.
But
what's your go-to now?
I do like. So it depends. I have I would say the 3 most common ones that I have now is Buffalo Trace, and I have and I forget the name of it. It's the Outlaw something. It's like an $80 bottle or something. And then maybe more. It's this Smoke Wagon. Is that what it's called? I think it's called Smoke Wagon. It's pretty good, but it's pretty stout. And I will do, there's a place up here in Clear Fork that sells, it's called Oak and Eden. They make some really good stuff. I've actually seen several bottles at stores outside of there. Texas Wild has some good stuff.
Yes, they do.
I got some bottles from them. There's one that they had that I like, just neat, just nothing added to it, because it's got some fruity notes, and it's really good just on its own. So I won't add anything, no ice, nothing. Just have it neat from Texas Wild. But I would say most of what I drink's Oak and Eden or Buffalo Trace or the Outlaw, Smoke Wagon. I could be butchering that name. I know it's got smoke and wagon in the name, and there's 2 pistols crossed, and it says like Outlaw on it.
Okay.
But
I'll have to check that one out sometime.
But no, a good glass of whiskey is amazing.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. Well, man, what kind of, you listen to music or anything like that?
Yeah, I do. So my music tastes are kind of wild because I do everything. So the Mennonites, they can only do like a cappella, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is no instruments. It's just
singing, yeah.
Just singing, yep. But it's harmonizing, but it's just singing. So sometimes I'll just listen to that. Sometimes I'll do metal. So it really kind of comes by my top artists are generally speaking country, but it really comes and goes. So if I'm working hard and it's through the winter, it gets into February, I start listening to metal, and I'll listen to metal until the weather clears up.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It's but I'll do a lot of classic rock, but a lot of more country than anything probably.
Yeah.
A lot of gospel. I grew up on bluegrass. Like first when I started getting out, and even before I started, when I wasn't supposed to, because I was a little bad
rebel.
Little rebel. I would get into bluegrass. So I pretty much grew up on bluegrass, and that's what I grew up playing. Like in Alabama, we'd all get together. I played a little bit of banjo then, but I would mostly play the upright bass. For those, we called them just pickings, I think is what we called them. And I had a friend over there named Roger Hammett that would play full time. In fact, he came out here and played Billy Bob's back when I lived there.
Oh, that's cool.
But I would go to, because he would play for a guy called Kevin Moon, which Kevin Moon went to the Opry. All he really wanted to do was just go play the Opry. But he's got some good country music. But he would play full time for Kevin Moon and several other artists around there. But before, he played banjo, and we just hit it off. And before his shows, he would say, "Hey, I'm playing at this spot. If you want to show up an hour early, we'll just pick for an hour until the show starts, and then you can just hang out." And so that's what I would do. We'd just sit down, and everyone would start getting around and stuff, and we'd just be there just playing
Heck yeah.
banjo and stuff. But so I did a lot of bluegrass for 6-7 years, so that I still love bluegrass. Man, it's just something about it that I never really get away from. But I would say I do everything. Bluegrass and country probably mostly. Some metal, lots of classic rock, some a cappella. It's just all in there.
Right on, man.
Kind of.
That's cool, bro.
What about you? What do you like?
I mostly listen to like local stuff. So I listen to 95.9 The Ranch a lot, which is usually local, stuff, people around here. William Clark Green, Randy Rogers, he's from Cleburne.
Gotcha.
Listen like stuff like him, Co Wetzel, Treaty Oak Revival.
Co Wetzel's got some good stuff.
Yeah, I like Co Wetzel a whole lot, man.
He's from Texas. Do you know where he's from? Is he from around here?
His band's based out of Tarleton,
Gotcha.
Stephenville,
Mhm.
where Tarleton was. He went to school there and played football there, so that's where his band came from. But he's from, I don't remember exactly what town he's from, but I think it's just a small town somewhere here in Texas. But yeah, I know we would go out to Larry Joe Taylor, which is a music fest in April every year, and it's just basically Tuesday through, well, they start Mondays, but they limited tickets on Mondays, but it's Tuesday through Saturday basically, and they start music at noon, and they pretty much play music until midnight or so, and
that sounds
it's
fun.
just band after band after band. They have like a smaller stage for noon to 5:30, and then there's the bigger stage from 5:30 on to midnight or 1 or whatever they stop playing. But so you just kind of get to go and sit and enjoy music all day.
Mm-hmm.
They got vendors and stuff out there where you can go get food, and they sell the merch and all that stuff, and you just kind of bring a cooler and sit
That's
out there,
really cool.
and chill all day.
Sometimes that's some of the best stuff.
Oh
right there.
man, we love going. We go almost every year. We did not go this year, but we go almost every year, and that's where I heard Co Wetzel the very first time. Actually,
Gotcha.
was out there. There's a lot of bands that started out there, that I heard for the first time, like Turnpike Troubadours. There's
I
so
know
many
I've
to
heard them.
name. But I started going there. The very first one I ever went to was to go see Cross Canadian Ragweed. I don't know if you know who they are. They're from Oklahoma.
I am not sure if I do.
Have to check them out, man. They're like
You
some
said
of
they're
the
what? Cross
Canadian Ragweed.
Canadian Ragweed.
It came from the band member's name. So one guy's last name was Cross, and then one guy's last name was Canada, and another one's name was Ragsdale, and it's Cross Canadian Ragweed.
That's pretty cool. You know what? Sometimes I think you could, because a lot of times when artists go on podcasts or talk shows or whatever, they will say where they got their name. And there is some crazy stories out there about
Right.
how And I looked up to just band names. Like there's a website that will just list band names. There's some of the most crazy names. It's wild.
Yeah, it's cool, man. Yeah, I'm a big music fan. And it, growing up listening to metal and rock and roll, classic rock, because my parents listened to classic rock and 80s rock and stuff like that. So I grew up listening to a lot of that. Listened to some country. Once I started kind of getting older, country was just different. And, it wasn't 90s country anymore. It was coming into this new age of country. And that's when I started kind of getting the whole cross-country ragweed, like this old Southern rockish country music, the songs are still like very, genuine, and you could relate to them. And, you could feel it kind of like coming from the soul of the person that wrote it and stuff like that. And I kind of fell in love with that type of music, and I still do. And I still love it. When you hear a good song and you can feel it in your bones.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I like. That's the kind of stuff that I like to listen to.
Yep. I always have Spotify does this, Apple Music does this as well. They have like a Wrapped that shows you your top artist.
Yeah.
And the first year I moved here, it was George Strait. After that, because I'll listen to any kind, but most of it's like old country. Of course, Jake Owen wouldn't be as much old country, but for the past 2024, 2025, and 2023, it was Jake Owen. So I don't know what it is, because I'll listen to metal, but it's almost all in the winter. I don't know. It's kind of crazy, because I just listen to whatever I want to, and then at the end of the year, I go over and look at what I listen to. Through the summer, it's country, but I do listen to quite a bit of folk, like Americana, type stuff. That's pretty good stuff. But a lot of the times, the bands that aren't mainstream will have just
I know, man.
There's just something about it that is it hits your soul or something.
Yeah.
Like what you said.
Yeah, I love that, brother. Well, man, is there anything else that you want to hit on before we wrap this thing up?
Can't think of anything. I appreciate you having me.
Of course, brother. I'm glad you came on, man. It was really good getting to know you, and hopefully, everybody else gets the understand a little bit better of who
kind of came out of nowhere.
And so it was a pleasure having you on, man.
It was a pleasure being here. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Bye, everybody.